Welcome back to Felicity Was Here. I'm Heather,
I'm Melissa.
And I'm Dr. Joe.
and today we are discussing Felicity Season 1, Episode 12, Friends. Hey ladies, how's it going?
Hi.
Great! Joe, what's so great? How's things?
I was just pretending. I just woke up. I'm a little sleepy. I thought if I said great, then I'd feel more
Great.
awake.
You gotta fake it till you make it, right?
That's right.
Well, it's funny. I'm in Illinois right now, and Melissa and I just hung out today. We saw each other for a little
Yeah.
coffee, little co-host reunion.
Oh my gosh.
So lovely.
Did you have like a little cardboard cutout of me and like have
You were there in
Aw.
spirit for
Yeah,
sure.
we did talk
Yeah.
about you.
Mm.
All good things.
Mhm. All
great.
good things. All good things.
Oh yeah, totally. Of course. I wouldn't suspect anything else.
No, but we tried not to talk too much about Felicity, but we did agree that this episode kind of felt a little mid. It was like,
Oh, okay.
I don't know that I have a ton of big thoughts on the episode this week.
It was kind of like a filler episode, in my opinion. You know, these shows in the 90s had like 25 episodes a season, so not every single episode can be super jam-packed with important stuff. There was some important things here, but yeah.
Right.
It felt like more maybe they were setting up, at least especially with Julie. Like I feel like they were setting things up for some other arcs for the rest of the season. But yeah, like even the whole vending machine thing, I'm like, what was the point of that storyline, you know? So maybe you'll have other thoughts. I'll be interested to hear.
Oh, okay. We'll see. I mean, I I have some thoughts, but I don't know if I can justify a filler episode. We'll see. We'll see. I'll do my best.
Well, to catch everyone up, last week on Felicity and Noel officially became boyfriend and girlfriend, even though Felicity found out that Ben and Julie spent winter break together in Vermont. But both couples have decided to take things slow with each other, but at least now everything's out in the open. Felicity and Noel are together, Ben and Julie are together, everyone knows it, no more secrets, right? So that's kind of where we left off last week. In this episode, Felicity sees Blair kissing someone in the library who is not Elena, and Julie receives the identity of her birth mom and grapples with how to meet her. Meanwhile, Noel pretends to be Sensa's boyfriend in order to get some new vending machines for the dorms. So, jumping right in, first scene, we see Felicity back in the stacks. This time, she's just looking for a book. She's not making out with Noel. But as she's searching for her books, and throughout the aisles, she ends up having to ask another student, you know, is this actually where I can find books? Like, how do I find this book? It's very confusing. But he is apparently very smart and has some sort of photographic memory because he can remember all the faces for the end of time, everything they're wearing. And he's like, I don't have time for you right now, miss. Lavender sweater, army pants, big hair. And Felicity's like, okay, sorry, I bothered you. I don't know what you're talking about. And then she's like, wait a minute, you remember me? Because he then says, oh, yeah, you in sideburns, jeans, olive shirt, gold ring. She's like, oh, Noel? And I like that he called out the gold ring.
And that,
I like how that was the giveaway.
she's like,
Oh,
yeah.
you mean Noel, the gold ring.
That gold ring. Yes.
And so she realizes, oh, you saw Noel and I making out during finals. He's like, yeah, I was trying to study. People keep taking my space and I can't study unless I'm in my space. And he said, yeah, even right now, that was my space. And he points over to his cubicle. Felicity looks over, and who is in his space now but Blair? And he's kissing someone. And as they pull away, she sees that it is not Elena. So, yikes.
Awful.
So then we get Felicity telling Sally that in college, people's lives are always happening all around you. You know what they're eating, how they're sleeping, and you see who they're kissing. And you're thrown in the middle, whether you like it or not. So I think the one thing that I found particularly interesting this week is that Felicity's kind of thrown into the role into the middle of things, whereas normally she's inserting herself into the middle of all these situations and being a Badinsky. But this time she didn't really choose to see Blair at that point. So I think it's kind of interesting to see how she deals with this now in a situation that she kind of had no control over being inserted in the middle of.
It seems she doesn't like it that much. She seems really uncomfortable. Wish I thought she would have jumped at this opportunity, being the Badinsky that she is. She's like, oh,
like,
now
free
you don't
permission.
like being in the middle. Yeah.
It's because she's learning. She's growing.
Exactly.
She doesn't want to repeat her mistakes.
Then we see Felicity at work at Dean and DeLuca, and Noel is visiting, getting a coffee. And she, of course, wants his advice. And she says, okay, let's say hypothetically, what if one of your friends saw me kissing another guy? And of course, that sets Noel off in a tizzy. He's like, wait, what guy? Who are you kissing? And she's like, no, hypothetically. And would you want him to tell you about it? And he's like, which friend? Which guy? Like, he's thinking this is happening. She's like, no, let's say hypothetically, a hypothetical friend saw me kissing some hypothetical guy, right? Would you want him to tell you? And Noel says no. So then Felicity tells Noel that she saw Blair kissing some girl in the stacks and that it was not an accidental on the lips kiss that was supposed to be on the cheek, which Noel says happened to him and his mom once, and it was very weird. And so then Felicity says, I think I would want to know. And Noel says, trust me, you wouldn't. So it's very interesting. Yeah.
What do you think about that? Do we want to know or not know? What do you think?
I mean, I hate to say it depends, but I don't know. I could see where if it's like a new relationship, I don't know. I feel like it kind of depends on the situation and like how long have you been friends with this person? How sure was she that she saw? Because it was kind of far away. I don't know. I think it depends.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I feel like mostly I would want to know, but I think it's interesting that Noel's like encouraging her to stay out of it because he kind of tends to do that when it comes to relationship stuff to advise her like, "Oh, don't tell them yet," or "Just wait." So that seems typical for him. But I'm curious that she didn't just leap in. And again, yeah, you say she's learning, but I think of all the times it would have been appropriate for her to insert herself, this would have been the time. And this is the time where she pulled back the most. So I thought I was like, well, I guess I mean it's a trial and error thing. Learning is learning, I guess.
Yeah. I do wonder if maybe something like this has happened to Noel in the past, like maybe he's been cheated on in the past because we have seen him have such like hard trust issues and jealousy. He was just so quick to say like, yeah, no, I wouldn't want to know. Like, trust me, you wouldn't want to know. And it's like, well, why do he just seemed like he was very sure of his answer there. So I wonder if this has happened to him in the past.
Or if he's just really insecure
Yeah.
about her in general, because he seems to be on the edge all the time with their relationship.
Then Felicity and Elena are grabbing food in the cafeteria, and Elena's rambling on about electrons. But Felicity's obviously acting weird because she doesn't know what to do or say to Elena. And she tells Sally, like, there's no easy intro into telling someone something like this. There's nothing, you can't just say, like, funny thing. However, that is how she decides to start to tell Elena. So Elena can tell, she's like, you're acting weird. What's up? And Felicity says, funny thing. And she kind of stalls and says, you know what, nothing. And then kind of starts again, like, well, yesterday I was looking for this Faulkner book. Like, she's about to tell her about the library situation. But then all of a sudden, another girl, the girl that Blair was kissing, comes up to Elena and sits down right next to her at the same table as them and just kind of launches into how boring this one professor is that she has. And Elena introduces her as Tara, her friend from way back who just transferred to the same university. And I'm like, you just transferred this new quarter. We're like second episode in from winter break, right? And she's already somehow like with her best friend's man. Like, Tara moves quick.
Yep, she does not mess around. I mean, she does.
Boom.
So yeah, she meets Tara and now gets real quiet about the situation and doesn't tell Elena now, obviously. And so they all keep chatting, and now Felicity just looks even more conflicted now that this person is an actual friend of Elena's.
That's awkward for sure.
Oh yeah. Then we go to the mailroom where Julie is, and she looks like she got some very important mail. So she goes straight to the loft and tells Ben that this private investigator found her birth mom. Her name's Carol Anderson. She owns an architectural firm. She's 36, and she was 18 when she gave Julie up. So she was also like a freshman in college. And Julie's really excited by this. Like, she's like, okay, great. Now I get to knock on the door and meet my birth mom. But Ben is not quite as, I guess, excited or enthused for her. He's more questioning, like, how do you know this is real? Who is this guy? And, how are you actually going to approach this? You haven't seen her in 18 years. You're just going to go knock on the door. So Julie's just seems very confident in what she's going to do. And Ben's like, well, what happens if she doesn't want to see you? And Julie says that she wasn't given a choice when her mom gave her up. So why should she get a choice? Why should her mom get a choice now? Oh boy. So yeah, this was kind of intense. Like, I could see that Ben is trying to support her and, like, have her think things through.
Mhm.
But also, it's just really hard to see, like, Julie's so excited to then have someone kind of bringing her back down a little bit, but she might need a little bit of a reality check, and I can tell he just doesn't want her to get hurt because he's had that kind of relationship probably with his parents, you know? So he's probably trying to protect her.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that was hard to watch a little bit because you do see that he cares, but yeah, it's like she's floating way up high, and he's like, "Let me burst your bubble real quick." But I think in this case, it would be better to have your bubble burst by your boyfriend than by your bio mom, who colossally lets you down. So it's a big buildup, a lot of pressure around that meeting.
And it just seemed so fast. I mean, I guess she's probably thought about this for a long, long time, but it just seems so
Right.
fast to like get the information and be like, all right, I'm gonna go knock on her door, like not think through, all right, how do I want to handle this? So I can see where Ben's coming from for sure, where it's like, all right, take a beat. You've got the info, maybe wait a little, but she's clearly, yeah, thought about this for her whole life and is probably eager to know.
Yeah. I think in my role as a therapist, I definitely am a bubble burster sometimes because I could see myself kind of saying, like, yeah, that's great. And let's plan ahead. Like, how are we going to manage this? If there is a disappointment or a rejection, how are you going to navigate that? So if I was her therapist, I would absolutely want to do some preparation and not just be like, okay, have fun. Let me know how it goes. But as a boyfriend, that's obviously a different role than a therapist, but he has a sensitivity to him and thoughtfulness. So I could see why he kind of was
Yeah.
inserting his caution and desire to protect her.
Well, he also just spent the last month caring for her after this previously huge life event that happened to her. So he's probably like, okay, she's already very fragile. So here, what happens when another serious blow happens and she's knocked down again? Really worried about the compounded effect.
Yeah. Because he's going to have to deal with that on some level, even if it's not his problem. He's going to be the one who's supporting her the most, probably. And that's pretty draining to be a partner of somebody going through something really big. Even if you do care about them very much, it's still a hard thing to witness.
Yeah. And I think he also is probably just so used to being let down by his
Hmm.
parents that
Yeah, definitely.
he's just like this, that's probably where his mind goes to first. And yeah, he's probably again just trying to protect her. And like Melissa said, after what just happened with Zach, like he probably doesn't want her to go through something that huge now.
Right. Things are just settling down, it seems. Like she seems to be in a good space. It's like, okay, we're coasting here. Like, why are we going to get back on the roller coaster?
Which also the writers, man, they gave Julie
Yeah.
some heavy material. Like we said, like we
Yeah.
just wrapped up with this rape arc and now it's like birth mom adoption. Like,
Mhm.
man,
Yeah, that's a lot.
heavy, heavy stuff.
Yeah, this wasn't a filler episode for her.
So then we do get a little bit of comic relief here with Noel's storyline, and we go back to the dorm. Richard's back again. This time he's beating up some of the vending machines, and Noel comes out of his room to see what all the commotion is. Richard tells him that the vending machines are basically crap. They ate his money and his almond joy, I think. And Noel says, well, these are new vending machines. Is like, I think the term is refurbished. But Richard isn't happy with that answer and says that he still doesn't think Noel is fit to be an RA and that he can't wait until evaluations. And I'm like, I don't know if I ever really remember evaluating our RAs in
No.
college. We called them house fellows at our school, but yeah, I don't remember like actually giving an evaluation for them.
Yeah, that's silly. And it's really interesting that an RA would be given that responsibility to acquire something of that value, like make such a big purchase. That seems like not something you
No.
would just hand over to a college sophomore, like, here's your budget, go acquire some vending machines for the floor. Like, what? Isn't somebody else supposed to be in charge of that?
Does Daryl have a responsibility on his floor to get something else? Like, does he do pizza on Friday? Like, is it up to each floor to decide what they want to do on their own floor? Like, why does Noel have to get this just for their floor?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's
Yeah.
hard to imagine other RAs in this position. It's like, why does it's
What
so
about
weird.
Astrid? Why couldn't Astrid jump in?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those peeps are gone. We never hear from them again. They're gone.
No.
Daryl, gone. Astrid, gone.
But someone who is back is Sensa. So if y'all remember the Hot Objects episode with the party, she helped get all of that chocolate and caviar and like probably cured salmon for the first college party. And so she overheard Richard's rant and tells Noel that she can take care of it. Apparently, Yuri can get anything on the planet that they need. And so Noel says, he's like, look, I tried that last time, but a kid almost died of Estonian chocolate poisoning. And Sensa's like, look, I can get you a cut of the profits too. And Noel's like, is that legal? But Sensa says, you just have to come with me to meet my family again and we'll get the goods. I'll set you up with some new vending machines. Then we go back to Felicity. Now she's in the mailroom and Blair runs into her and Felicity tries to kind of scurry away, just like, oh, hey, what's up? I got to get to class. But as she's trying to get away, Blair says, so are we cool? Which is weird. Like, why would you just randomly ask that of someone? And Felicity turns around and says to him, like, Blair, I saw you. I saw you kissing Tara. And she's like, maybe that's why you're asking me if we're cool. And Blair's like, wait, for real? Like, I wasn't even in the library the other day. And he's basically gaslighting her. Like, I wasn't there. It's like, oh, you just, you saw the back of some guy's head and you assume it just has to be me, right? And so he's like, whatever, and just kind of storms off. And so Felicity's like, okay, now what? She also looks maybe like he put enough doubt in her head that, like, you just saw the back of someone's head. You don't know who you saw. And so now she almost looks even more conflicted, like maybe it wasn't him that I saw. I don't know.
Well, yeah, he didn't just say some guy's head, he said some brother's head. So he did include the race in there. And I think
Oh.
that's even more like she knows she's like some privileged white girl. And who is she to be accusing Blair, this up to now stand up guy, who's her good friend's boyfriend's like, so I think that added an extra layer of doubt. She doesn't want to be that girl who accuses the black man, that is another sensitivity.
Like all black people look the same or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of racial tension stuff going on in that. I mean, not that it's not going on anymore, but especially back then, there were a lot of big issues, big publicized court cases that had to do with race relations. So I could see him sprinkling that extra bit of doubt in there to make sure she backs off. But he's an expert level gaslighter.
Yeah. Looks like it might have worked.
Yeah, I guess she does back up. But I want to back up, speaking of the 90s and different styles, I want to admire Sensa's zigzag hairstyle real quick. We didn't mention that when we were talking about Sensa's reappearance on the show. She had a nice zigzag hair part. Not a side part, not a middle part, a zigzag part. Did y'all ever do your hair?
Wasn't there a special tool you could use where you would like run it through and then it would make it all zigzaggy like that?
Yeah, I believe there were. I never invested in one myself.
I just used my finger.
Yeah, just good old fashioned hand squiggle. I feel like I just saw a TikTok about that. Like somebody used a fork on their hair and it was like amazingly perfect zigzag part. I should track that down and post it and put it in our story or something.
It's like the dingle hopper from Little Mermaid. She uses the fork.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Yeah, I did like Sensa's braids. There was at one point she had like little
Oh,
skinny
yeah.
braids throughout her hair, not just in the front. Those were cute.
Some accents, some braid
Yeah.
accents.
It's a little braided accent.
Lots of hairstyle stuff going on in this episode. Some other hairstyle stuff
yeah.
is mentioned later that I was really amused by.
Oh, yes. Very soon here. So then Felicity is walking with Noel as he's getting his coat on to go meet with Sensa's family. And he tells her that he's glad she didn't say anything. Like, she must be really glad now that she didn't say anything to Elena, knowing that Tara is her friend. So Felicity says it's crazy because if she hadn't seen Blair in the library, that her and Tara probably would have become friends because they're friends, she's friends with Elena, and so they would all have become friends. So then Sensa's in the elevator as the elevator doors open for Noel, and she tells Felicity that she can make a lot of money selling her hair. And Felicity's like, thanks, I'll keep that in mind, which I don't know. Would you guys buy her hair?
I mean, I like to get wigs, but no. If it was dyed a fun color, then maybe, but not just. She's got pretty hair, but not my style.
I feel like these days people donate it.
Yeah. My face shape just wouldn't work with that kind of hair, I don't think.
I've got enough curly hair. I don't need Felicity's. But yeah, I feel like people donate enough hair these days where I don't know that you could really make a lot of money from selling cut hair. Like, I feel like people just donate it to, like, what's it called? Locks of Love or Locks for Love. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we go back to the loft, and Julie is figuring out how to get to Carol. So she's set in her mind she's going to go just knock on her door and introduce herself. And so Ben's like, I guess good luck. He just doesn't really know what to say. He's like, good luck. And just says, like, yeah, I mean, it's going to be like meeting an aunt that I've never met before. And then she catches a glimpse of her butterfly clips in her hair in the reflection of the toaster. She's like, "Oh my god, my hair is crap. I look like I'm 12 years old."
Yeah.
So, another classic 90s look.
She wasn't exactly wrong.
She was not
No,
wrong.
she was not.
No.
But I like that he's like, "No, put the thingies back."
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
It's like, "No, you look great. Put the little thingies back."
Yeah. And I like that. I mean, she was talking about like, oh, this train and that train and this bus and walking this many blocks, and he just whips out some cash and is like, here, just take a cab, it'll be easier. So even though he has his reservations about the whole thing, he's still being very supportive and saying like, make it easier for you if you're gonna do this, like, do it right, like, take a cab, like, don't go through all this other nonsense over it. So he's doing his best to be supportive, even if he's very cautious.
So yeah, she's putting the thingies back in her hair. He jokes that that's how Sean gets ready in the morning, looking at because he's holding up the toaster for her to put the thingies back in her hair, the butterfly clips.
And she's like, you're joking. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I am. That's cute.
But then Julie asks Ben if he would go with her, and he, of course, will. So, agreed. I like that no matter what, he's still supporting her. Like, he made his case for why you should maybe take a step back, but she's setting what she wants to do, and he's going to go with her and, yeah, pay for the cab and do whatever it takes. So, I do appreciate that. Then back at the dorm, we see Blair and Elena together, and Felicity's kind of watching them, observing them from afar. And Blair gives Elena another gift, so she's opening it up. She thanks him, and they are all kind of cute and kissy together.
Is that when he gave her the peanut M&Ms? Was it that gift, or did he give her a couple gifts this episode?
I didn't notice.
It looked like a bag of peanut M&Ms.
I think there's only one gift. Besides the ticket, so that must have been Eminem. I didn't notice that. That's funny.
Yeah, it was like a big yellow bag, and it looked like I was like, oh, it's for her study system.
Oh, that's what I assumed.
Cute.
Because I watched it over and over again, and then I finally saw it one time. I was like, oh, she needs those for her system.
That's
so
cute.
that was very thoughtful. So it's interesting, that he can pick up on different things like this and give her some pretty thoughtful. It's like a simple thing, candy, but for her, she would use that probably for schoolwork and not just to enjoy it because it's chocolate.
Yeah. And then he does kind of look up and sees Felicity watching them and just kind of gives her a weird
glare.
stare. Yeah. So Felicity ducks out. But when I saw him giving her, I guess it's the peanut M&Ms, I started to think he's, given Elena a lot of gifts. But even last week when he gave her the headband, when he plopped it down in front of her, she was like, okay, what do you have to tell me? And he said, what? Nothing. It's just because you're cute, or like, okay, what is it? Like, what do you need to tell me? And she's like, what are you talking about? Like, well, whatever you're afraid to tell me. And that's why you're giving me a gift. So now I'm thinking, I'm like, wait, was he already seeing someone else last week then too? And like, these are his gifts to like, because he feels bad or something, like,
like out of guilt.
Oh, you bring home flowers, like, oh, are you cheating on me type of thing? Like, so I started to wonder, I'm like, has he been, I don't know, seeing other people besides Tara? Was he just already making out with Tara before? All of a sudden I was like, wait, this is multiple gifts now. And it got me thinking, like, how long has this been going on now?
That is a very interesting observation. But I would add to that he had given her a record player and a record, like, way before they went officially dating.
Yeah.
Like, he was, like, courting her, and, like, I was like, oh, maybe that's his love language. That's just what he does. And maybe, maybe part of him doing that is because he is kind of a player. I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit of both, but I thought that was an interesting observation, and that she is more inclined to kind of be suspicious, and she, like, when Felicity was acting weird, she's like, what's wrong with you? Like, you're acting weird. So it's interesting that she could miss different signals when something really is happening. We're very aware of that. And she's not confronting him or asking him, like, no, like, why are you acting weirder. We're not seeing those conversations on screen anyway. So I'm imagining they're not happening. Otherwise, we would see them.
Or he's just gotten good at, because she does every step of the way, she kind of has questioned his intentions and pushed back. And so I wonder if he's just now earned her trust where she's not questioning things, but now
Her guard's down enough.
I think unfortunately she needs to question things. But I mean, they are thoughtful gifts. That's the unfortunate thing. Like
They're
the
very
record player
personalized.
and the record, and it's like, oh, I can't play it. Well, here's a record player. Like it was really sweet, which is why it makes me sad about this whole thing.
So this is so disappointing. Yeah.
It's so interesting because he was the one that really pursued her so much in the beginning. He wanted to meet her for Chinese food and he wanted to date her, and she was the one who was like, this is just a one night stand, blah, blah, blah. So
He helped her stay at school.
yeah,
With the scholarship.
So I don't know. Weird.
That's why I'm
Yeah.
like, wait, was he, like with other girls too, and it wasn't Tara until now? I don't know. Because it was another gift, I was like, wait, is this a thing now?
No, that's a good question. That's a good thing to wonder.
But I do, it could be his love
Yeah.
language. You're right. Then we see that Noel and Sansa are arriving together at her family's warehouse. And before they go in, Sansa tells Noel that she's the only girl in her family and they all worry about her being at school by herself. And so she told them all that Noel is her boyfriend to get them off her back and so that they don't worry about her as much. And Noel's like, wait a minute, but I have a girlfriend. Like, what about my dignity? And she says, you'll get it back in like an hour. So they go inside, and Sansa's dad comes up to them, calls him Noel. Well, all of them call him Noel, which I think is really funny. And is so excited to meet Noel because Sansa told them this grand story about Noel saving her from a fire. Yet again, we get another fire reference with Noel. I don't know what's going on. So yeah, he's really grateful to meet Noel. And then her brothers / maybe also some cousins have Noel sit down, and they immediately want to arm wrestle with him, which he loses repeatedly. And Noel's like, thanks, that was fun. So yeah, he's all of a sudden an awkward position, doing very like masculine arm wrestling and having all of these grand stories told about him. And he's like, Sansa, help, get me out of here. So it's a little bit of comic relief in this episode. Then we go back to Julie and Ben, and they arrive outside of her birth mom's house. And she basically starts to get cold feet. She's like, oh my God, she's an architect. She owns this whole firm. She's a hotshot. She's probably at work. This is so stupid. Why am I here in the middle of the day? And Ben kind of knows what's going on and calls her out immediately, like, look, it's normal to be scared about this type of thing. And Julie tells him that people on Ricky Lake, when they're, meeting people for the first time, like they just burst into tears. And she says she doesn't want to do that, which was a great 90s reference. Ricky Lake. Kids, look it up.
I was like, I'm thinking about, if anybody's watching that, like, I'm sure most of our viewers will recall Ricky Lake, and there aren't a whole bunch of young people watching or listening to this, but I was just like, who would know who Ricky Lake is now? If you say that name, Ricky Lake, is that going to mean anything? Like, they're going to think it's a body of water in some place they don't recognize, like Ricky Lake. Like, oh, where is that? 1998.
You know what I remember Ricky Lake for more than her talk show was a movie she starred in with Brendan Fraser called Mrs. Winterbourne. It's an amazing movie. I love that movie.
The best movie.
Oh my God.
Brendan Fraser was so hot in that movie.
That was possibly his hottest role, probably aside from The Mummy, but yeah, he looked good in that movie.
Have you seen With Honors? Oh man, that's a good one.
That was intense.
Mm-hmm.
He's hot in that one. Yeah, Ricky Lake. Wasn't she also in Hairspray way back in the day?
Oh yeah, I think you're right.
You're right.
I don't know if it was on Broadway or in a movie. But yeah, I wonder what she's up to.
Yeah, I wonder as well. And I just couldn't remember when I was thinking about the talk show. Like, was she on the talk show first, or was she doing the acting first? Like, how did that? Like, what order did that come in, or was she like simultaneously
talk
doing
show
I think it was acting first.
What? Really?
Yeah, because I feel like she was way younger in Mrs.
You're
Winterbourne.
probably right about that too. Yeah. It's just really interesting to reflect and ponder on Ricky Lake. Yeah, she was in Hairspray.
But also, I wonder like how they picked her for a random talk show. Like, I don't think she was the biggest star. Like, not like a Drew Barrymore or Kelly Clarkson these days, right? Like,
I thought she would have said
they're
like
huge.
Maury.
I don't know if she was.
The Maury Povich.
Well, but isn't he only known for his show, or was he an actor too beforehand?
Well, Well, she was talking about, yeah, being on a talk show and meeting people, so I would have thought, like, something like that, or, there was also, like,
Hmm.
Sally Jessy Raphael, like, who else was
Oh, her red glasses. Yeah.
yeah,
Jerry Springer. That was the other big
yeah,
one.
yeah, it's like, yeah, like, I feel like Ricky Lake is such an obscure reference out of all the ones that they could have chosen. That's, like, probably the most obscure one.
I think that was one of the best ones, though. Like, I actually enjoyed watching that one. It wasn't just, like, people having fights like on Jerry Springer. Are you both looking it up? I feel like you're
Yeah.
both looking it up.
Yeah, hell yeah. You know what? I went to Jerry Springer with Melissa's mom, by the way.
Oh my god, that's right. I didn't get to go because I was too young. Yeah, I couldn't go.
Wait, what? You went to the show?
Yeah, we watched it. Melissa's mom took me and,
Yeah.
Melissa's brother.
Weren't you guys like in the front row?
Yes, we were. We were. We were in the front row and, like, somebody got into a fight and, like, one of the chairs was, like, pushed aside, like, really close to us.
Mhm.
And the guy on the show, one of the guests, I remember his name was Country because I thought that was hilarious that his name was Country, and he was, like, a country dude, like like a good old country boy.
That sounds like a reality TV star person. Like, I'm country. I'm 36 years old.
Yeah. I think Country was cheating on somebody is what happened, if I recall.
Amazing.
Well, Ricky Lake, we need to see what she's doing.
She's still acting. She was in a movie Under the Christmas Tree. 2021.
Yeah. I just went on her Instagram. She looks fantastic. If you look on her Instagram, she's gorgeous. Mhm.
Oh, Instagram. Good. Good for her.
And yeah, everyone do a rewatch or a first watch of Mrs. Winterbourne. Great movie.
Yes.
Mhm.
So, back to Felicity, though. Julie doesn't want to burst into tears like on Ricky Lake. And Ben has a great suggestion. He says that he saw a payphone nearby. Maybe she could just try calling first. But Julie, all of a sudden, she's clearly just scared and wants to leave. She's like, what would I even say? She's not looking for me. Ben's like, well, how do you know? You don't know that. She's like, yeah, I do. Apparently, the only way that Julie could see her own records of who her mother is if her mother was looking for her too, which is very sad.
Interesting. Oh, it's very sad, yes. But it's interesting that she's bringing this up now when he was asking all those questions like, oh, like, how are you going to take it if
Yeah.
she rejects you? And she didn't bother to mention this then. But now that she's,
Because she didn't
on
want
the
to think about it.
doorstep-
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Like reality hit really hard, really fast in this moment for her.
So then Julie decides to bail. She's too scared. So they both leave. But then back at the warehouse, apparently Noel has been drinking a lot of vodka and now he's really trying to sell this fire saving story that Sensa told. So he's recounting the tale. And then Sensa's dad is like, Noel, you're a stick. You need to eat. And he hands him an entire sausage that's speared on a fork and gives that to Noel to eat. And I can say I am Polish. It's not Estonian, but, Eastern European. I can say 100% accurate. This is how those families are. They're just trying to pump you with food and get
Yes,
you to
yeah.
eat, and especially sausage. So yeah, this is accurate.
That's funny. I know my friend growing up, their family was from Portugal and they were constantly trying to feed me, which was great because back then I could eat so much and not gain any weight, but not so much anymore. I wouldn't set foot in their house today. Like I wouldn't be able to walk back out.
And yeah, you can't turn down food, basically.
You
So,
can't. That's like so offensive.
yeah, he takes the fork with the sausage, but he's like, you know what? Excuse us. And he pulls Sensa aside into like another back room or office. And Sensa says, oh, unfortunately, Yuri beeped me and he's stuck in Jersey or somewhere and he's not going to make it. But, we can meet again tomorrow. Noel's like, wait, what? Like he beeped you 2 hours ago, which was 7 sausages ago. So he's pissed. He's like, I didn't have to do all this, but Sensa's like, you looked like you were having fun. Like, she wanted him there to basically calm her family down. So
I think he
Now-
was having fun though, like bragging
Yeah.
and like, making himself out to be this hero. He probably did like the attention.
arm wrestling, drinking vodka, eating sausages. It's a good time.
Yeah, it was exciting.
But now he has to come back the next day. So that is kind of a bummer. But then Felicity and Elena are studying together when I think in Elena's room, and Tara bursts into the room, tells Elena to turn on the radio, which is funny because kids don't listen to the radio anymore. But they used to, you never knew what song was going to play on the radio. And so their song was playing, their jam was on. And so she's like, turn on the radio. And they have a whole choreographed dance, like a TikTok dance to this song together. Felicity's just kind of still there sitting on the bed, watching them have fun together. But you can kind of tell she also doesn't really know what to think or say. She's kind of smiling, but to me, it looked like she was just kind of putting on a happy face for them.
Yeah.
And
Also,
so
I
she,
don't think she had any relatable experiences to that, of her own. I could, do you have any dances with your friends? You two probably have a dance together too, right? No?
We were just talking today about how we used to do ribbon dancing together in my living room. Yes.
Oh.
I don't know if we have like a memorized dance
No.
specifically, but yeah.
I feel like Melissa and I tried really, really hard to get the arms right from the Teen Witch dance.
We did. We
and
tried. Did we ever get it?
We tried.
No.
We tried. I don't think so. I think we just really tried.
Heather, do you know what we're talking about?
Is that like the rap that they do?
No, it's not the rap.
We should find that clip and post it.
Oh,
It's the
okay.
final dance scene.
Oh, no, it's not Top That.
No.
Top that thing. I was like, it was like something.
Yeah, Top That. Yeah.
That's funny.
Best scene of any movie of all time.
I think Robin Lively, who was the actress in Teen Witch, I think she posted her like redoing that dance or something recently for Halloween on
really?
Instagram. Yeah, I'll try and find it and
Fun.
send it to you. It was funny.
You can post it in our Discord.
Yes, I will post it in our Discord. So yeah, then Felicity tells Sally while she's watching them do this that eyewitness testimony has been known to be unreliable. And she's like, I mean, would I bet my life that I saw Blair in the library kissing someone? She's like, no, like Elena seems happy. The truth will probably come out anyway.
And for anybody who likes psychology trivia, Elizabeth Loftus is a psychologist who did a lot of studies on eyewitness testimony. And I absolutely would reference her if I ever get called for jury duty. And I would be like, I know about Elizabeth Loftus. And they would kick me out immediately because she did a lot of work with eyewitness testimony and how unreliable they are. And if you ask questions a certain way, people answer the way, like how fast was the car speeding? How fast was the car going? Like little words here and there like that can manipulate how somebody testifies and recalls. Air quotes, remembers. So yeah, she specifically did a lot of work with that. So I thought that was cool. I know that they didn't mention her, but I knew what she was talking about. I know what's up.
I read a lot of like mystery thriller books, and they always talk about how like, yeah, eyewitness testimony can be very easily manipulated. And
Super
also if you
flimsy.
talk to other people who were around at the time, like you can influence each other's memories too. So it's interesting. I also think in this scene, if I put myself in that situation, I might also be a little jealous of like, this is my new friend Elena. I think we're really close, but again, kind of like when Hannah came to town for Noel and she knows these things about Noel that she doesn't. Now here's Tara like, oh, are they gonna be closer? And I'm gonna get pushed out
She's
because
gonna
they
squeezed out.
yeah, because like they already have all this history together. So I think there's an interesting tension here between like your friends from home and high school and newer college friends too, that I think it's also an interesting dynamic. Like I could see where Felicity might not want to tell Elena about this because it's like, well, is she just going to say you're just jealous of my friendship with her? So I could definitely see that maybe being part of her hesitation to come forward with what she saw.
Yeah. Jealousy and confusion because she hasn't had that kind of friendship with somebody else and she doesn't have a history with anybody else. So she doesn't have any frame of reference to kind of know what's normal or not normal. And yeah, I think it's just she's probably kind of confused and curious about how friendships play out and what they look like over time.
And yeah, she's probably like, oh, I thought Elena and I were really close, but maybe now we're not as close as I thought we were after seeing how they're interacting, right? So,
which is kind of confusing to me because I don't think they're very, very close either as a viewer. I really don't. And I don't think that their friendship was ever built up in the course of the series. Like, yeah, they're better friends by the end of the series than they are at the beginning of the series. But this is the hill I will die on. I don't think Elena was featured nearly enough and the friendships were built up nearly enough.
100%.
I think that was such a huge missed opportunity.
Well, this is kind of their first hurdle as friends too. Like Felicity's been with Julie through a lot of like there was the her and Ben stuff in the beginning. They had conflict and moved through it. Then there was the Zach stuff that she tried to help her with. And I think Julie's been there for her for the Noel stuff too. And like Elena, like you said, just hasn't been in it as much. And so this is kind of the first time that they've had some sort of conflict to deal with together and, come out the other end.
Because
So yeah.
most of Felicity's focus has been on either her relationship with Ben or her relationship with Noel, whether it's their friendship or relationship. Like she's been more gravitating towards the men of the show than building up her female friendships. Up to this point anyway.
Yeah. But then Felicity visits Noel's room because he's back from Sensa's and he's a little drunk off the vodka. But he tells her, he fesses up that he had to pretend to be Sensa's boyfriend. And unfortunately, he's going to have to go back and do it all again tomorrow. He's like, but don't be jealous. Felicity says she's probably supposed to, but that it's just too sad, the whole situation. And I thought it was really interesting. Like, Felicity's so much more confident than Noel in their relationship. She's like, I probably should be jealous, but I'm not. It's just too sad of a situation. So I thought that was super interesting because usually Felicity
Yeah.
overthinks and overanalyzes everything. And she just kind of was like, oh, it's kind of just funny, actually.
Well, it's also probably because she like knows Sansa a little bit and like how ridiculous she is in her family. I think if it was some other girl, yeah, she would probably be more jealous. But
And knows Noel too, and he's kind of obsessed with Felicity.
That's
We
true.
talked about people being obsessed with other people, and I feel like if anybody's obsessed with somebody, he's obsessed with her. He's very fixated on her and enamored with her, all those
Yeah,
things.
that's true. And he's a very dedicated RA, so she's probably like, yep, you're doing it for
He's
the
just
vending
doing
machines.
yeah, he's just taking one for the team.
But then Elena walks up to Felicity, interrupts them, and says, can we talk? Felicity, of course,
Dun
agrees.
dun
And
dun.
yeah, so she's
Yes.
following Elena to Elena's room, and she tells Sally that the only time she felt like this was going to the principal's office after some kid called her fellatio porter and she put a bunch of salt in his drink or something. And so she feels like she's going to the principal's office now. But can I just say, I didn't know that Felicity was such a hard name to pronounce that we've got patisserie, now we've got fellatio porter.
yeah.
Like, it's just, I didn't know Felicity was so hard to say.
I feel like that kid who called her Fellatio Porter was Patisserie Porter dude's kid. In my universe that I've built up in my mind, that's like the refrigerator dude's kid who called her that.
I also thought it was kind of racy for this show for them to make that her nickname or whatever.
Yeah, but kids, kids
Yeah.
say wacky stuff. And she does say, like, I didn't know what it means, but I knew I didn't like it. Like, I knew
Yeah.
it wasn't okay. So, yeah, interesting.
But she feels like she's getting walked to the principal's office. So she follows Elena into her room. She sees both Blair and Tara in Elena's room, kind of heads down, and they look like they're all about to get in trouble. So then Elena says, you saw Blair kissing Tara. And so, she's like, wait, what? Like, is this a question? And Blair's like, look, I said that she saw a mistake. And immediately I'm like, why did Blair tell Elena about Felicity saw me accidentally or saw something she didn't? I just thought it was really bizarre that it's like this whole thing started because Blair was like, she saw a mistake.
he was
I just wondered what
probably
happened
just
here.
trying
Do
to
you guys have thoughts?
Getting ahead of
Yeah,
it.
I was just gonna say he's probably trying to get ahead of it. He knows Felicity and how she can be a
Budinsky she is.
so he was probably like, she'll probably tell her, so let me tell her first, so it makes me look better.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Because he's so smooth, like the way he was gaslighting and
Mhm.
everything. Like it's like, of course he knows how to navigate a situation like this. Because when he said, "Are we cool?" and she admitted that she saw them, like, why are you asking me that? You know, I saw you. Like that's why you're asking. So that was enough of a signal to be like, okay, I got to do some damage control before this blows up in my face.
So then, Blair and Tara explain that she apparently was upset about a breakup and she went to like thank him and kiss him on the cheek. But at the same time, he turned his head and they accidentally kiss and took a second too long or something to pull away. And again, my question is, how are Tara and Blair so close already? If she just transferred here, like, why is Blair the one consoling her about a breakup? Like, that was my big question. I'm like, how is this an explanation that makes sense for
Yeah,
what was
that's
going
because
on?
it's bullshit.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, Elena's no dummy.
But again, if he thinks he's being smooth and getting ahead of it, I'm like, I don't see how this situation makes sense.
Yeah.
So then Elena says, okay, show me.
She's hardcore, man. That was such a badass move. Show me. Show me what happened. Putting them on the spot.
And meanwhile, Felicity's just sitting here too. Like, she's having to watch all this play out, which is crazy. And so they're like, "Are you for real?" She's like, "Yeah, show me. Show me how this accidentally happens." So they role play. They don't actually kiss, but they pretend to get close or whatever. And Elena's like, "All right, Felicity, is that what you saw?" And Felicity's like, "Maybe it could have been." She's like, "It did happen to Noel and his mom once."
What a dweeb.
It was so classic. So
Mike?
Felicity, yeah, is now thinking maybe that is what I saw. Again, she's got a lot of doubt in her mind. Maybe.
I don't know. I was kind of disappointed because, like, it almost seems like she's defending this guy Blair more than she's backing up her girl,
Mhm.
Elena. Like, why are you working so hard to kind of help this guy cover up his tracks? And, self doubt or not, I don't know, like, did he really get in her head that much, or is she just trying to avoid a conflict, like, because this is a really uncomfortable situation? But it's kinda too late, like, the conflict is here, it's happening, it's now. So, I just kinda thought that was weird that she seemed like she was giving more loyalty to him than to her actual friend Elena.
Yeah. It could be just that Noel's telling her not to say anything. Now she might be, yeah, thinking from previous situations, I shouldn't have gotten involved. So maybe she's just conflicted because, yeah, she doesn't know what to do now. It's like when I get involved, I'm in trouble. When I don't get
Mhm.
involved, I'm in trouble. So maybe she's just conflicted and doesn't know what to do. I don't know. That's rough.
Well, it's a good thing Elena's no dummy, so she can read between the
Well,
lines.
we'll see. I don't know. She's still not buying it.
I think she can play the long con too, just like
Yeah.
Blair can.
Okay.
I think she's going along with it for now and being like, "Okay, okay, we'll see."
Then we see at the dorm, Ben is at the vending machines. These are still the old ones, of course. And he's getting paydays out of the vending machine. Noel sees him, stops by. Of course, it works for him, puts in the money, the candy comes out, right? And Noel says, like, "Oh, like, of course it works for you, right?" And he's like, "I never would have pictured you as a payday guy." And he's like, "You picture me?"
Oh my
Which is
gosh, I
funny.
died. So funny. You picture me?
Which is like, Noel obviously isn't thinking about what candy that you eat, but it's just something to say, but it was very funny. Like, you think
Yeah.
about me. But Ben says that they're for Julie. She loves those things. So it's like, right, catch you later. And Noel puts money in, and of course, it breaks and nothing comes out. So just Noel's luck. The writers are really, laying it on thick at this point of like
Mhm.
how different Ben and Noel are, but that's okay. So Ben takes the paydays over to Julie's. She's in her room. He knocks on the door and Julie just says, like, "What?" Like, it was very short. So clearly she's in her head and stressed out. So he comes in, gives her the payday, and she like quickly hides whatever papers that she was looking at. And Ben sits down with her and says that he knows how hard all of this might be, but he thinks that she should just like take some time off from doing anything. He's like, "Well, maybe just write her a letter first." And Julie says, "Yeah, well, actually, she was already trying to." And she rips out the papers that she just hid. And basically, she got 3 words like, "Dear Carol, I." Like, that was the progress that she made on the letter. So she's already trying. And then was basically like, "You know what? This isn't your problem, though. Like, don't tell me to wait. Don't tell me to do this. Like, this is my problem, not yours." And Ben's just worried about her. Like, he cares about her and what happens to her. And he's like, "What if Carol rejects you? Like, how are you going to be able to handle that?" And Julie tells Ben, she's like, "Look, I don't know how I would have gotten through everything that happened with Zach without you. You were incredible, but this is different." And so he's like, "Okay," and leaves, which is rough. So this is kind of a big hiccup for them. I think she's definitely stressed out. Like, he is just trying to help, but she clearly just doesn't want his advice at that point.
Mhm. And I think he made the right move by just saying like, "Okay," and giving her that
Mhm.
space so she could do the processing on her own or with her therapist if she brings that up with them, with the therapist. But I like that he had the sense not to keep pushing it. He said what he needed to say, and then, there's no sense in kinda arguing with that emotional reasoning that she's got going on right now. And he's probably seen this before. He's probably tried to reason with his mother, with her relationship with his dad, and I'm sure he's got a lot of history of, trying really hard to prevent intense emotional reactions. So he's an expert at that, at witnessing blowups and hurt and pain and all that. So I'm sure it's really hard for him to resist inserting himself even more into the situation and just pulling back. But I think he's grown too from his experiences and having some distance from home where he can be like, okay, like I really don't have control over this. Like things are going to happen how they're going to happen. It's not my fault. It's not my responsibility. Like you do you, I'll do me. Like I'll be there, for her whatever happens at the end of it, but I can't force the situation any further than it is right now.
It is a good point, though. I think, Joe, I think you said this earlier, that he is going to have to be the person to pick up the pieces, though, if something were
Yeah,
to
like, he
happen.
probably had to do with his mom over and over again, so this is
Mm.
probably kinda activating for him, like, when she's like, "This isn't your problem," he's like, "It's not my problem," like, "It's gonna be.
Mm.
It's gonna be."
Yeah. Like, yeah, I was there for you with Zach. Like, I'll probably have to be there for you if this all goes down poorly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big
Mm.
load to dump on somebody.
Then we go back to the cafeteria where Elena is studying again, of course, and Blair comes up to her with another gift. This time it is tickets to a jazz club, which again is very Elena and a thoughtful gift, right? So he's like, look, I feel like at a jazz club, you won't even have to we won't even have to talk to each other. We can just sit there and bob our heads to the music, right? Like, since she's still quote unquote heated about everything. I'm like, don't like, you give her time. Like, has it even been a day? Like, give her time. Now this feels like a little too much like love bombing almost. It's like, maybe give her a little bit of space to deal with what just happened, you accidentally kissing. But she didn't really say much. And so he's like, all right, like, basically, how long are you going to be mad at me? Right? Like, how long are you going to punish me for all of this? So she gets up and leans down and kisses him on the cheek, which again, salty. And she said, basically, until I can get the picture of you and Tara taking a second to pull away out of my head.
Mm.
And then she walks away. I'm
Yes.
like, go girl.
Mhm.
Good. Get it. That's right.
Yeah.
Don't let him off the hook so
He
easy.
can't buy you back with tickets and things and gifts. We see Julie then stops by Felicity's room and asks her why she makes tapes to Sally instead of writing letters. And Felicity tells her that she's just found that it's easier to express herself when she just talks, that she doesn't censor herself as much as in writing as when she's talking. So Julie asks her if she can borrow her tape recorder and doesn't tell her why yet. She's like, but don't worry, like tomorrow over breakfast or something, I'll tell you. And I was actually really proud of Felicity in this moment because she's just kind of like, okay, like, bye, Sally. I'll talk back soon, talk back soon. And Julie, say hi to Sally. And then she just like hands it over. Like, she doesn't push her, like, no, really, what's wrong? What's going on? Tell me now. Like, I was actually kind of proud of Felicity in this
See,
moment
that's what
because
I'm
I feel like
saying.
in 3 episodes ago, she would have like, oh no, what is it? Tell me now. And she just kind of let it be.
She's
I liked
growing.
that.
She's learning, you guys. I keep saying this.
Yeah.
You can see these subtle shifts in her
Yep.
character over this last few episodes.
Yeah, it's good writing. It is. It is.
Then back with Yuri. Noel and Sensa are with Yuri, and Yuri tells Noel that he's going to give him the 4,000, which is, I guess, the fanciest vending machine that someone could ever have. And so he's like, here's the calculations of the profits and all this stuff and the cost. And I don't know, nonsense. He's like, but now we drink. And Noel's like, uh-oh, like now I'm going to have to get drunk on vodka again. But this time, luckily, it's just Pepsi. So they take a Pepsi and Yuri, kind of goes off. And the other brother from the other day who was arm wrestling him comes back up to Noel and says basically that he's figured out Noel isn't really Sansa's boyfriend, but he's actually okay with it because at least she has one good friend. Like, she can tell that Noel's a good guy and a nice guy. And so at least Sansa's got one good friend in New York while they're all worried about her. So I thought that was really sweet. And then the brother wants to arm wrestle Noel again, but this time he's going to let Noel win because it looks good. So that was a cute ending with Sansa's family. Then we go back to Julie's room and she's got Felicity's tape recorder and starts recording a tape to Carol. We get Dear Carol. She starts explaining her name, where she was born, how old she is, and that she believes that she is Carol's daughter. She tells her she's had a great life so far. She loves her parents. They're great. She's in college. She's going to major in music. She has great friends, but there's always been something missing. She says that she tells people that it's a hole, but she said it's more like a question that never goes away. And this shot was beautifully shot. Like, she's in front of these, what are those, Venetian blinds or something, and they're just kind of tilted. There's this gorgeous golden hour light coming in. It was a beautiful shot, and I also think Amy Jo Johnson was just very vulnerable, and it was a beautiful scene. And she tells Carol that she'd like to meet her, even if just once, to see herself reflected in someone else, which I thought was really, really cute. And I think that is, yeah, a lot of maybe what the other characters want to, Ben and Noel and everyone.
Mhm.
Like they just want to see themselves reflected in their parents, or they want their parents to be proud of them. So I thought that was a very human, relatable moment for Julie. Then we go back to the library where Felicity and Elena are studying together. And Elena says, "By the way, I never thanked you for being there for me. Thanks for staying out of it because I probably wouldn't have believed you if you had come to me first about the Blair and Tara stuff," which is interesting. Felicity stayed out of it, and Elena's thankful for that. However, that is keeping the conflict going. Again, it's just an interesting mix now of Felicity staying out of it, but now that's not maybe the right move. And Elena was grateful. Yeah, I don't know. It's just an interesting, complex situation here.
Yeah, I thought she said she wouldn't have believed Blair if Felicity came to her first, so
Oh,
but
did I get that wrong?
that's what I thought she said. Like, I wouldn't have believed him if you came to me
I
first.
can't
I don't
remember
know.
now.
So I think that would make a difference too. Like, it's like, wow, you really handed him the keys here. Like, you really gifted him a get out of jail free card by not saying something sooner. If that was what Elena was communicating to her.
I think you're right, Dr. Joe. Because why would she say that? If Felicity had told her first, why would she just automatically not believe her? That doesn't make as much sense. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, because I think she automatically would have. Yeah.
Well, because now what happens later, now when she tells her the truth, she's like,
Yeah.
"I can't believe what you're saying because this is my friend who helped me when
Mhm.
my mom was dying," you know? So to me, it was like, I wouldn't have believed you anyway because I believe them. Like, I have to believe them because otherwise that means that
Right.
my best friend of so long is doing this to hurt me now.
But I think that's why she did say, "I wouldn't have believed Blair if you came to me first, because she does have to hang on to that lie, because the truth would literally hurt too much.
Hmm. Okay. I guess I'm confused then.
Yeah,
That's
we're
fine.
all confused.
Yeah. I'll go back and watch it again. I can also like re-record that
Yeah, we
piece.
definitely I'll edit all of this out.
No, we
Just
gotta
be
be
li
authentic for our listeners, you know?
I guess where
Yes.
they're like, "Wait, did they not watch the episode? Is she an idiot?"
You know, sometimes the captions are wrong and stuff like that too,
I
like,
didn't
and I've
have the
got bad
captions on this
hearing,
time. Yeah.
and I'll tell you something else. I don't know if you caught it at the end, the caption on Sally's, tape at the end, it says Sharon instead of Sally.
What?
So
Oh.
yeah, I know. So sometimes mistakes are made, so I could have been watching the captions and, like, misread or misheard. That is very possible because I know that happened with some of Julie's lines too. So some of these lines are really low, and even with the captions, you can't 100% trust the captions, so
I will rewatch though.
we're only human, and technology is not always on our
This
side.
is true.
Mhm.
But then Felicity asks, "So you forgive Blair?" And Elena says yes. But she's going to milk it for a little bit and, make him sweat. And as for Tara, she's like, "Look, she made a mistake. She apologized, and now we're going to move on." And she says, "If you can't trust your friends, who can you trust?" And that is going to be my angsty away message of the
Ooh,
week.
that's a good one.
I was
I
wondering
don't
what
think
it was. I was trying to think.
yeah, I don't think it would be, an everyday away message situation, but that's definitely like a vague Facebook
Yeah.
post type of thing. Like if you can't trust your friend,
Are you talking about me?
I have nothing in particular. No, I know. Yeah, exactly. It's like, wait,
Yeah,
which
that
friend?
would provoke lots of replies like, "What? Who did messed you up? What's going on?"
Super passive aggressive. Yeah, exactly. So Felicity starts pondering that and says she's going to the bathroom. And I think she actually has the intention of going to the bathroom, but on her way, she spots the photographic memory guy that saw her and Noel and saw Blair and Tara before. So she goes back to him and asks him if the couple that took his spot last time, if he's ever seen them making out in his space before. And he says, "Yep, three times before." So now Felicity's like, "All right, I didn't mess up. I know that this actually happened." So Felicity sits back down with Elena and tells her, like, "Okay, actually, the kiss wasn't a mistake. You believed me before, but I wasn't telling you the truth." And Elena says, "No, they said it was a mistake, so it was a mistake." Felicity's like, "Well, this guy in the stack says that they went up there 3 times." And Elena's like, what guy?" She's like, "I don't know, some weird guy in the stack." She's like, "Okay, so some weird guy tells you this thing and you're like, you're just going to believe them." But Felicity says, "I mean, remember what you just said about trusting your friends." And Elena says, "Oh, is that what you're trying to be by telling me this? And how good of friends are we? Have you ever been to my house? Have we laughed so hard that we're rolling on the floor? Were you with me in the hospital when my mom died? Because Tara was. So believing you means that she's lying in my face and I can't do that. So again, we're getting this tension between friends from home and college friends. Like, what defines really good or close friends? Is it how long you've known someone? Is it what you've been through together? I thought that was just really interesting. And to Joe, to your point, like they've known each other not a super long time, but yeah, I mean, how many huge moments has Felicity been there for Elena for, right? So I can see where Elena would be like, there's no way that this friend would do this to me, like after all we've been through, right?
Right. That's kind of throwing things in Felicity's face too a little bit. I get why she was reactive and defensive, but whose house has Felicity been to? I mean, she's not good friends with she hasn't been good friends with anybody, really. You know, in high school it seemed she made it sound like she was kind of a loner. So she hasn't laughed so hard she cried with anybody. I mean, maybe Noel by this point, but she hasn't been anybody's house. She hasn't like been through some like really, really, really hard things with anybody, you know, like in her history, her own history. So of course she hasn't done it with Elena yet either. So it's kind of like it feels a little unfair for her. But I get the point that Elena's trying to make that it would be really, really hard to turn Elena's back on that long history she's had with Tara.
Which is why I wonder if Felicity had come to her originally first before Blair said anything, would she have believed Felicity then either? Because again, it'd be admitting that her close friend from home has been lying to her and doing this behind her back. So
Maybe.
it's interesting.
Because I don't think Blair would have gone up to her. Because I think if she went right away, he wouldn't have had an opportunity to be like, "Are we cool?" and then find out that she knew and she could possibly tell. If she would have just dropped that bomb on Elena right away, and then Elena would have had to confront Blair instead of giving Blair the upper hand to confront her,
Yeah.
maybe it would have gone differently. Because he would have been caught off guard and not had like this whole lie planned out, and she could have talked to them separately, and like she could have
Mm.
done a whole interrogation thing, which I'm sure she would do. Like, she would've been like, "I wanna make sure stories match up and not give them an opportunity," and they didn't have, like, cell phones, so you couldn't, like, text somebody real quick and be like, "Okay, she's gonna ask you this, say this." You know, like, they would've gotten so busted.
You'd have to leave a message on the answering machine. Here's our alibi. Yeah.
And hope they got it in time. Yeah, yeah, or that if it was, like, super premeditated, they would've had to lay that all out way ahead of time before they had their first kiss even. I think Elena coulda busted them, like, really hard if she got that information way ahead of time before Blair could, you know, plant that bug in her ear and be like, "Oh, yeah, like, this thing happened on accident, by the way, so I'm just letting you know because 'cause I'm being honest and telling you what happened."
But then immediately after, we see Elena, Blair, and Tara are hanging out together, and Tara and Blair are kind of flirty, like right in front of Elena. In my opinion, they're a little flirty. And
And she saw that shit.
Yeah.
She saw it. She felt it.
yeah, and like Elena kind of gets up. She's like, "Oh, I gotta go meet my chem TA." And Blair's like, "Oh, well, what time am I picking you up for the jazz club?" So she walks away, and Tara kind of gives like a side eye, like, "Oh, she's still not over it, maybe." But I'm like, really, all this happened,
You
and
think you're
y'all
that slick?
it was cringy. Then we go to Noel's room, and Felicity's kind of hanging on him, and he's trying to study or read, and she's fiddling with his hair or something. And he was like, "Oh, I could program this new vending machine to get you 2 for 1. But, you charge me for coffee, so forget about it." And that was funny. But basically, he was like, "Weren't you supposed to be studying all night?" And Felicity says she was supposed to be studying with Elena, but Elena didn't call. And Felicity said, "But I didn't call her either." And Noel says, like, "You were honest. You can't be mad at yourself for that." And Felicity says that, like, "Yeah, but she just thought that they were better friends than that." And so again, I'm like, Felicity before would have been calling, knocking on doors, like, "Just let me explain myself. I'm so sorry, blah, blah, blah." And again, she's like, she didn't call Elena either. So she's giving Elena space after her being mad. So Felicity has a whole lot of restraint in this episode, crazily.
Also some distraction in the form of Noel. I wanna give her
I
credit
mean,
where credit's
they're
due,
just together. I mean, it's not like
but it's taking up some more space for her, like, she's got her own thing, she doesn't have to be in everybody else's business because 'cause she's got her own business now, her business is now Noel.
Okay, true. Can we take a moment though and just appreciate this scene for the Noel and Felicity awesomeness? Heather, were you not just like so excited and like it was so cute.
I am, but I was restraining myself because I'm like, there after the last 3
No,
episodes, you guys are probably sick of
listen,
me being
okay.
like, "This was so cute."
I would like to hear more of that. That I wanna hear that she's not obsessed with Ben because 'cause I'm still defending her that I don't think she was obsessed with Ben last episode, so she's not
Yeah,
obsessed with him this episode. So if you
no.
talk them up as a relationship, I would actually love
No,
that.
I really appreciated this moment because I think a lot of times TV shows don't do those like little sweet moments between couples. It's always like either high drama or like, whatever. But this was just like this cute little subtle moment between them where she was like hanging around his neck and he was like touching her and they were just talking and it was just so cute and the little teasing about the vending machine, 2 for 1. It's like, I love this. They're like so comfortable around each other right now. It was a sweet, sweet scene.
Comfortable, yes. It was good. I did enjoy it.
We rarely get to see those like little tiny moments with couples in TV shows like this, and I liked that.
Yeah, because they just seemed like a regular couple doing,
Hmm.
like, regular couple things, like, they weren't, like, doing, like, some hot and heavy
Yeah,
makeout thing or,
yeah.
like, fighting, like, with intensity, like, they're just spending
Hmm.
time together, enjoying each other's company.
And like again later, we see them like napping together. That's just like a totally like
Oh my god,
cute,
the spooning. It was
just like
so
a
cute.
cute college couple moment, like napping in each other's dorm rooms. Like I love that. Anyway,
Yeah, it was lovely. I really did like it, which is why my fire was reignited on and still I'm gonna this is another hill I'm gonna die on that she was not obsessed with
yeah,
Ben as of last episode because I don't think she could transition from
yeah.
being obsessed last episode to this episode being such a
Hmm.
couple. So I'm still right. That's
Hmm.
it. My away message is Felicity is not obsessed with Ben.
Anymore.
As of a few episodes ago, a couple episodes ago at least. I'm rooting for her. I'm ready for this.
I would
I'm
love
ready
it
for the
if
two of
she
them.
were only obsessed with Noel, but that was always she was still wearing the necklace, like, she was still pissed that they kept all that. Anyway, we don't have
I'll give
to.
you lingering feelings, but I don't like the word
Yeah.
obsessed. It's too strong. It's too
Okay.
extreme. But 1,000% yes, lingering
Well, Noel
feelings.
didn't
That's
even
fair.
use that word. That was, like, Elena's word. She said, "You're obsessed with the idea that she's obsessed." Like, Noel didn't.
I feel like he did, but we'll rewind the tape on that later.
Okay.
Okay.
We
I'm
don't
moving
have
on now. I'm
to,
okay. I'm good.
yeah, reignite
I
old
said my
fires.
piece. I said my piece.
No, and I do appreciate that now they've just kind of settled into the relationship too. Like, it's
Yeah, I
not
felt very
some new
good.
big conflict between the 2 of them that is, the end of the world. They're just there to support each other, and she's not jealous about the Sensa thing. It's just kind of funny to her, and he's there for her for this Elena thing.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
And yeah, the spooning that comes later, yeah, that just kills me. Then we go to a fancy office building and we hear a receptionist answering the phone that it's Anderson something designs. I didn't have the subtitles on this time. Next time I will. But so we learned that, yeah, Julie is now coming into Carol's office and she's got an envelope in her hands. So she asks where Carol's office is, goes upstairs. There's another receptionist up there. And she asks about Carol Anderson, but the receptionist thinks that she's there for the internship. So they're apparently recruiting for a college intern. And then who should walk by at that moment but Carol Anderson, who from her receptionist grabs her messages and Julie sees her and in absolute perfect casting, it's Jane Kaczmarek from Malcolm in the Middle?
Mhm.
Wasn't she like most famous for that show?
Yeah.
But they just look so
They
much
do.
alike that it's scary.
Yeah, I really liked that. That was really cool.
Perfect casting. And so Julie's just kind of stunned in that moment. Carol, of course, doesn't really know who she is, so she just kind of smiles and walks into her office. And the receptionist is like, "So, the internship," and gives Julie an application. But we don't see Julie giving the tape. She's just in that moment kind of stunned. Like she now has seen her birth mom. So now we wonder, what is she going to do next? Back at the dorm, we're getting some of that slow dramatic music, and Noel is putting money into the new 4,000 vending machine, but unfortunately the peanut M&Ms don't come out, so he bangs his head. All of that work with Sensa and Sensa's family was for nothing because even the new machines don't work.
Nice product placement too.
There's a lot of
know,
M&Ms.
M&M's featured twice.
And then we go to Elena's room. She's kind of angsty there, sitting, and she gets up and calls Blair and says she's got work to do. She can't go to the concert. She's got too much studying to go. And We can kind of hear them going back and forth. She's like, no, no, you should go anyway. Really, it's fine. I'm going to be studying all night. Then we see Julie knocking on the door at the loft, which Ben opens up and she says sorry to him. And of course, he lets her in. So we see them make up. And then we go to Noel's room. And as we said, Noel and Felicity are spooning in his room. And then there's a knock at the door. We see that it's Elena, and she says, look, I know I don't have a right to ask you for much right now, but would you mind coming out with me for a while? And Felicity says, just give me a minute, which is still very nice. Like, yeah, at this point, she doesn't have to, but she still decides that she's going to be there for Elena. So we see them all bundled up outside by some cars parked down the street, and we see that they are outside of the jazz club. People are coming out, looks like post-concert. And we've got a stakeout, people. I almost wish it was a little bit longer and we saw like more of their interaction on this stakeout, or they had candy or something. But that'd probably be a little too
Yeah.
comedic for the situation. But they're staking out, which I like. But then we see Blair walk out of the club on like the stoop on the stairs, and Elena looks relieved and happy to see that he's alone. But then a few seconds later, Tara comes out, doesn't just walk out like friends. She wraps her arms around Blair from behind. Then they face each other and they kiss in a very non-accident, non-mistake way. So Elena's crushed, and we hear Sally's tape back to Felicity telling her that she cheated on John once, that it was 6 months into their relationship and it was with an ex. She said halfway through, she realized why they broke up in the first place and why she loved John so much. And she said that John probably wouldn't have known, but after 3 months, she just couldn't take the guilt and told him. She said she never thought an affair could do anything except destroy a relationship. But after that moment, she never lied to John ever again, even about the smallest things. And she said sometimes in a relationship, going through hell isn't so bad if you come out stronger. I guess the same is true about friends. And so we see Elena's crying, and we end with Felicity kind of pulling her in to be her shoulder to cry on. And that was the end of the episode. So it was sad, but I really did like seeing their friendship grow. I think a lot of emphasis in our society is put on romantic relationship. Like there's couples therapy, right? We put a big emphasis on marriage. But I think that friendships are also really important, and they're also very challenging. And I think it was just a beautiful episode that shows that kind of how to work through conflict with a friend. And like Sally said, like you can still come out stronger as friends even after conflict. And so I just really appreciated that they kind of showed that, because yeah, we just think about growing stronger as couples, but like what about friendship too, right? So I just thought it was a really beautiful end to the episode.
Now that you say that, I don't think this episode was so much a filler episode, because it does show.
Yay! I knew something was going to bring us
Yeah.
around.
Well, it's like it does show their friendship, progressing and getting stronger. So that makes sense, because the whole show is about finding your identity in your relationships, not just romantic ones. So that's true. Her friendships were also an important part of her growing up and becoming who she is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I like that this was Elena's approach. This seemed like a very Elena thing to do, because she didn't have to believe her new friend or believe her old friend or believe her boyfriend. She could see it with her own eyes. And I like that she didn't just do the stakeout alone, because she could have been like really fiercely independent about it and just fight on him on her own. But she did say, yeah, come with me, because I think down deep she knew she would need that support, because I think she did know the truth underneath. Otherwise, why would she go through the trouble of doing a little stakeout? But I like that, she relied on the evidence, like facts that she could pull on. She didn't have to rely on believing somebody or another and kind of, I don't know, jeopardizing a friendship because she chose wrong. Like she could see it for herself. But yeah, I like that she pulled Felicity into that process, and she was allowing that vulnerability to happen, because there was a possibility that she would cry. She'd get her heart broken and she would cry, and she was vulnerable enough to let Felicity in on that. I like that that's the route that they chose for her to come to the truth, because that's so on brand for her character.
And knowing that Felicity's the opposite and she's so emotional, it's like, okay, this might be emotional. Like I need my emotional person maybe with me too. Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe it's not a filler episode, but I also think the vending machine thing, I was like, so what was the point of this part? Like, I feel like I always try and find a common theme throughout all of their different storylines for all the characters. And I'm like, what was the vending machine point? Like, just that Noel's being a friend to Sansa, but like, she's not really a big character. Like, I don't know that we see her really again after this.
I don't think we see her again.
Yeah, this is the second and last time, I think. So I was like, what was the point of that?
think demonstrating trust, because the growth that you're pointing out, like Felicity was not freaking out and overthinking and being like, oh my gosh, she spent hours with her and he even got drunk and he met her family before he met mine and I don't know his family and da, da, da. She could have spun out really easily, but I think that showed her growth and showed the trust that they have. Like, he can go put on this little performance and pretend to be somebody's boyfriend, and she's not going to freak out and he's not going to freak out. Like, it's okay.
And I think Julie, like, this is obviously the start of a much bigger, longer arc for her about her adoption and her birth mom. So I think, I don't know, maybe it's not a filler episode, but it's setting up some
Yeah.
yeah, it's like setting up some bigger things for the rest of the season too. But also, like, we just had a set of 3 episodes that were amazing, so they can't all be bangers, right?
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a slow burn. It's slower paced. Right, that's what I said at the beginning. It's true. It's because it's not an action, show or something. Like, it's just, some things in life, like she was saying, like, life's happening all around you all the time, and like part of life is not always super duper exciting events. It's just like you do your day-to-day thing, and we can get a little peek into what her day-to-day looks like and the other characters' day-to-day looks like. And it was establishing some more closeness with the Ben and Julie relationship too. So not just the story arc with the bio mom, but how they relate to each other and what kind of partnership that they have.
Yeah. And still some open questions. We don't know what Julie's going to do next now that she's actually seen Carol in person. And yeah, now Elena is probably single again.
Just the way she likes it. That works for her.
So who knows now what'll be. Yeah, like now we don't know what's in her future. So definitely some more
books, chemistry.
Yeah. Books and Kevin. She's got her valedictorian speech prepared, I'm sure. But I guess, yeah, maybe we did come out of this discussion with a little bit of a different view on the episode, and coming in, I guess that's all we can hope to do with our podcast, right? So this episode, our hay counter, we only had 8 hays, which maybe makes sense given that we thought it was a bit of a middle slow burn, as Joe said. But let us know if you agree or disagree. Please feel free to follow us on Instagram, TikTok. Come join our Discord. If you'll look at our link in bio on Instagram, you'll see we started some Discord chatting on Felicity and the 90s. We've got a new Spotify playlist too. So come join the fun. We'd love to meet you and talk further about these episodes and more. So we're looking forward to chatting with you again next week.
Bye.
Bye. Felicity Was Here is produced, written, and edited by Heather, Melissa, and Dr. Joe. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Felicity Was Here Pod. If you're enjoying the pod, please leave us a review and help us spread the word. We appreciate you and would love to hear from Felicity superfans like us. So send us your feedback, ask us your burning questions, or just say hey at felicitywasherepod@gmail.com. We may even read your note in a future episode. Talk to you all next week.